Jack Griffin created a nonprofit and a website to help people find food when he was just 16 years old. I'm your host, Devin Thorpe, and welcome to the Your Mark on the World show. Today, we're recording this episode for Forbes, where I'm a Forbes contributor covering social entrepreneurship and impact investing.
Welcome to Your Mark on the World, bringing you another changemaker with champion of social good, Devin D. Thorpe.
Jack, welcome to the show. We're thrilled to have you.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Devin.
It's exciting to learn more about what you're doing. You've not only created a website to help people find food, but you've also created an app as well. Let's start at the beginning. What motivated you to create this service?
Yeah, so it all started really in 2013 when I was watching a news story that was profiling two kids who were living out of a truck in Florida. And they were living out of this truck because medical bills for their late mother cost them and their family everything. So what this story really did was see how, there are so many kids across the nation that are, getting ready for school in the bathrooms of libraries and gas stations. And at the time when I was just a student in high school, I had to face none of the day-to-day struggles that these kids had to. So when I tried to learn more about the issue of childhood hunger and childhood poverty around where I lived, around where I went to school, I realized that it's so prevalent and yet still so hard to see if you're not directly impacted by it. So once I really got a sense of how massive the problem was of, in a school in a well-off area having 3,000 kids and 1,000 of them are still on free and reduced lunch, that's really what got me started in wanting to find a better way to help all these kids who were my classmates who faced these struggles.
It really is a big problem. One of the key problems that you identified is that it is sometimes hard for people to find access to the free food that's available to them. How did you determine that was a problem?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it was, doing my own research, just because if you think about yourself, if you are either looking for, like I was initially, a place to volunteer at or a place to donate to, or more importantly, what if you were actually one of these kids or one of these families who needed assistance, like you needed to know where to get food that night or that weekend? If you just try to either do a simple online search, like where do you even start? What do you even know to type in? And oftentimes the things that you do find are either, sort of piecemeal information or it might be inaccurate or outdated. Or the other option is you can ask an adult for help, frankly, especially if you're, elementary, middle, or high schooler, asking a teacher, a counselor, things like that. But at the same time, that's so hard and such a massive obstacle to overcome because it's so difficult to reveal your circumstances to someone like that because it's such, the stigma around being in need of assistance and being in these dire circumstances is so real and something that's still, we have a lot of work left to be done with making sure that people know that it's okay to just ask for help.
So how did your initial website work?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so in the spring of 2014, the first version of Food Finder, foodfinderga.org at the time was the URL, and it was trying to make it as easy as it should be to find free food resources, places like food pantries, churches, co-ops, shelters. And the first version worked that you could either type in the name of the school that you went to, and we would have an autofill search bar, just make it as easy and quick as possible. And then around that school, Google Maps type display would show up. The blue pin would be the school that you search for, and the nearest 5 or 10 red pins would each be a free food resource that would be near the school.
Wow. What a great resource. And did people start using it right away?
Yeah, so definitely I've learned a lot more about, awareness building in the last 3 or 4 years. But with especially the education sector and, using schools as a really great pretty much the primary channel through which we can not only reach the kids that we want to be using Food Finder, but it's a place where we can get in touch with like sort of the first responders to hunger. Like teachers, counselors, administrators, as I've already said. But luckily, to your question, the traction we got right off the bat was really positive, to where just in the first couple months, especially since given when we released the first version of the website, it was right before school was about to let out for the summer. And as you can imagine, summer is the time of the greatest need since kids who aren't on free and reduced lunch no longer have access to it. So we definitely sort of hit the ground running, which we were really fortunate to see.
So as you were thinking about that situation, experiencing that, it's starting to work, was there a particular situation or story that inspired you to sort of keep going and take it to the next level, or was it the cumulative effect?
Yeah, so I think it wasn't really one specific instance that sort of changed my mind on anything. I think rather it was, since I'm so fortunate because, as I'm sure you've seen with social entrepreneurs, people are a lot more sort of quick to luckily support your idea if it does have a really clear social initiative or trying to help this demographic or this many people. So that's been really fortunate, but sort of with more traditional entrepreneurship, and this is still true for the work that I've seen, that people can be very skeptical of your idea. A lot of times they have to defend Food Finder and sort of do a little bit of educating, like, do you think an app is really the best way to solve hunger? And it's just about, talking about, the stories, the people, showing that how a surprising number of, kids and their families do have smartphones or access to one. So I think as I've sort of gone through that sort of conditioning, and luckily having a lot more positive meetings, it's only sort of driven me further to want to help more kids, not only in Georgia, but all across the country.
As you have now been working on this for a couple of years, things have begun to evolve. You've introduced the app. How does the app differ from the website, and how have things evolved otherwise?
Yeah, so absolutely. The app, which the Food Finder Fighting Hunger app, which went live in the summer of 2016, so just over a year old, that version of Food Finder, the app was sort of my initial sort of grandiose vision of how simple and how easy it should be to where, with no login needed, we don't need anything from the user at all. Just, open the app on your phone, whether it's a teacher showing a student after school the app on their phone, or a student or a parent or family member using the app on their own device. Just opening the app, and within just like 2 or 3 seconds, it's we're really proud of how clean and how quick it is. Just opening the app and showing that here's where you are, here are the nearest free food resources, and here's their information like street address, hours of operation, languages spoken, and things like that. So I'd say the website, which was revamped really recently, has caught up to the app in its terms of functionality, but we're really proud of, so often it's more about like, everything that the app could do, or we could have all these really cool features, but more often than not, less is more in these types of situations, especially given, the really tough state of mind that a lot of the people who we want to use Food Finder might be in. So just making it simpler is, in our minds, better.
What are the use cases you're hearing back about? I realize not everyone, in fact, the most people who are using the app aren't telling you about their story, but I imagine some do. Some get a meal through the app and they go, holy cow, I got to tell Jack, this kid who created this tool, how much I appreciate it. What are the stories you're getting back?
Yeah, so it's definitely a wide variety, and you're definitely under the correct assumption that even though we are still trying to offer help with the information we provide, it's still the sort of the shame and the stigma barrier is still very real. But we have been really lucky to hear the end result of Food Finder. So we either have some great free food resources like pantries and churches, volunteers telling us like, hey, we've had people cite Food Finder as the reason they came in this morning. So that's really awesome to hear. Or at the same time, usually a couple times a month, we'll either get an email or a phone call, sometimes with people actually in tears, whether they are directly impacted by the issue or not, saying, this is such great work you're doing. We really appreciate it. We never really had a better alternative than what you guys are doing. And, we never set out to like, oh, we're just going to get, a bunch of shiny awards and accolades, but still being able to, and we still may never know the true impact of what we're doing, since it is hard to measure the transition from an app usage to actually visiting a food pantry. Just being having the opportunity to help just even a couple hundred people and let them sleep easier at night, letting them know where they can get food, that's something I'm truly thankful for.
How many people have downloaded the app, and how many people are regularly visiting the website?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we use Google Analytics to track usage of both the platforms. So in a little bit over a year, over 1,000 people have downloaded the app. And in a couple years, since the spring of 2014, over 22,000 people have used the Food Finder website. And luckily, looking more at how far into the site and app they go, we measure success as making sure that they go as far as they can, basically ending up at the final screen to where the free food resources specific details are mentioned, as I mentioned, the street address, phone numbers, hours of operation, so that they now know exactly when and where they can get the help that they're looking for.
Yeah. Well, there are, as you point out, what are the statistics? There are a lot of hungry people in the United States. Give us a sense of how many people there are, especially kids.
Yeah, so it is kind of mind-blowing once you dig into it. So looking at the USDA data, as well as the Feeding America has a fantastic map, the meal gap, interactive chart on their website, which is very sort of eye-opening to the problem. But long story short, there are more than 15 million kids across the country that are food insecure. And food insecure being that they don't have the access to the quantity or quality of food that they need to maintain a healthy lifestyle. So that's 15 million, I believe, is between 1 in 5 and 1 in 6 kids in the country, which is still just staggering. But when you think about it, children alone, not based on ethnicity or any other sort of demographic factor, children are the population that is most likely to be food insecure. And that's really something that me and fortunately so many other people are really passionate about changing and making sure that we can get more kids fed across the country.
So you are a hero to a lot of people. Who do you look up to as a role model?
Yeah, so it's actually someone I just met recently. I've only had a couple face-to-face meetings with him, but someone I met at the University of Michigan, where I go to school, is a guy named Vic Strecker, who is currently the Director of Innovation and Social Entrepreneurship for the School of Public Health up at U of M. And I first met him when he spoke to the freshmen in the business school about his life story, which is truly just a very humbling one, since he's gone through so much loss, having lost his daughter when she was only 19, I believe, and someone who has just gone through so much tragedy, but now is helping, his priority is now helping people find purpose, because, as a doctor and a scientist himself, he's studied in depth the not only purposes, just having a purpose and the positive benefits of that on people's lives, but the extent to which people, as him being a social entrepreneur himself, looking at his life and him going above and beyond what anyone could expect of someone in his situation. And he's still such a positive influence on so many people, always smiling. And as a social, or at least a social entrepreneur who hopes to achieve what he has, he's someone that I'm really fortunate to have met with and spoken to about Food Finder and so many other things.
Great. Most 16-year-olds don't start nonprofits. Did you know that?
Yeah, people have told me a bit.
Yeah. So why on earth did you feel personally responsible to make this happen?
Yeah, it was because I know now I can talk about it a lot more. Still a lot of work to do, but still I can talk about it more eloquently now than I could just in 2013 or 2014. But I saw that where so many, there's thousands, tens of thousands really of these free food resources that are listed on Food Finder, but there are so many resources that are offering this help. They have so many, millions and millions of tons of food that are donated to help kids and families in need, but you so rarely see the needle actually move on more people being fed. And I just started to realize that massive problems like food insecurity and childhood hunger need equally massive solutions. So even though I could help a lot of people by maybe, starting Jack's food pantry a couple years ago, but I realized that maybe by just connecting the people who are looking for help with the places that are offering it, I could do a lot more tangible good than I could if I just, started up my own shop. So I really wanted to, even though I definitely didn't see myself as an entrepreneur from the get-go, creating new things just to, be better solutions than there were previously. I think that's really how we're going to make sure we do move the needle and have more kids fed across America.
No, that's fantastic thinking. Now, Jack, what is your superpower?
So I think it could be a gift and a curse, but as I've learned, just going above and beyond with sort of like extraordinary empathy, because it's just like stupid easy to stay in your own ways of, being comfortable with what with what you've already grown accustomed to, and just taking the extra step and the extra effort to think about, wow, like if you're a student watching this or just someone in wherever your walk of life may be, thinking about how, difficult, and you only see, the surface of people's successes or just their day-to-day lives, a lot of the struggles that people go through. And I know it's really tough to reach out to them face to face, but just even being more conscientious of the very real struggles that not only face the less fortunate of the population of America, but, just trying to just be a little nicer every day. I know it's a really sort of cliche to say that, but just thinking a little bit about how you can help others, asking how I can help is a really powerful tool. So that is something I'm glad that I've sort of picked up as a skill to be more mindful of it and try to actually put it into action.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, Jack, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. Before you go, tell people how they can learn more about the app, download the app, find the app, find the website, and connect with you personally.
Gotcha. Yeah. So, thanks again, Devin, so much for having me. To all the people watching, I'd absolutely say that it's almost a guarantee that someone or someone, a friend of a friend it can be really surprising once you dig into the actual who of actually who is food insecure. So it's not just, people on the streets. So chances are you might have an opportunity to where Food Finder might be helpful. You can just go to foodfinder.us for the website. Download the app at foodfinder-fighting hunger on the App Store and on Google Play. And you can just reach me wherever. You can look me up on Facebook or LinkedIn. My university email address is jackmg@umich.edu. So, just absolutely give me a shout if you have any recommendations. If you run a food pantry that isn't on Food Finder and would like to be included, we should get a lot of those. We're always more than happy to, make sure we cover as much as we can of free food resources across the country. So however you think you can help or you think you can sort of join in the fight, we'd love to have you. So thank you again so much.
Thank you, Jack. We're thrilled to have you, and appreciate your taking the time today. And we wish you every success in growing your app and helping more people find the food they need.
Thank you so much. Truly grateful.
All righty. Let's do some good.
Thank you for listening. This podcast was recorded via Google Hangouts on Air and is available at youtube.com/Devin Thorpe. Subscribe to this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes by searching for Your Mark on the World. Every weekday, Devin hosts a CEO, celebrity, entrepreneur, or other changemaker here on the Your Mark on the World show to inspire and prepare you to make your mark. Devin is a champion of social good, writing about, advocating for, and advising people who are doing good. He is a Forbes contributor who is a recognized thought leader in social entrepreneurship, impact investing, and crowdfunding. To book Devin as a speaker, visit devinthorpe.com. Learn more about Devin's work at yourmarkontheworld.com.